live? Oh. Okay, I think it's live on YouTube. Welcome whoever is watching, if you're watching. One caveat. I've been working on this all afternoon because I haven't had time all week to do it, and I have not had a chance to preview it. So I'm just hoping that everything clicks through like it was supposed to, and that I have it in a halfway decent order like I'd hoped. If not, then blame Marcia. All right, oh. All right, there. Now YouTube has the picture. All right, so, and that's just for free. Okay, this is what I really wanted to see when we were over there. And we got to the volcano a week before it spewed. And I got there 10 days after it finished, or 10 hours after it finished. So I didn't get to see this, but I got to looking through. I had over 5,000 pictures between Marcia and me. And so we're going to go real fast so that we get them all in. Well, yeah. So when we first landed, we're driving from the airport, and Cindy says, oh, just don't pay any attention to the goats. They're wild goats. They're everywhere. They're up there in the mountain. No, we never had goat, thankfully. Yes, we did have span. They're just everywhere. Okay, these are cattle. We have cattle here. No big deal, right? But there is one section in Hawaii, the Big Island, that wherever you see cattle, you always see these white birds. Yeah, well, probably. I'm not sure. And when we were there before, I saw them a couple times when the birds were on the cows, on their backs. And I looked and I looked and I looked to get a picture of it. And one day we're driving along and Marcia said, oh, there's a cow with a bird on it. And I said, well, now you should tell me now, because I'm already like a mile away. So I never did get the picture. She did see it once, but I didn't. I don't know what yeah, there's cattle over there, and there's just one section of the island where those birds are there, and they look like these storks. You can kind of see it there by that one on the right. They're what? King Ranch. Oh yeah, we did see a couple places called that. So cattle egrets. That would make sense. They look like an egret. Cattle egrets. Okay. Well, now I know. But they're also around the horses sometimes. So we went to a waterfall. Well, a couple times I saw some wild pigs.
They don't see that. Huh? They don't see that.
They had certain times that you could really go out and take care of them about any time of the year, basically. On a beach, we saw this dude. We walked by where they had there you can kind of see the wall there. And I don't know how these turtles know that's where they're supposed to go, but that's where that turtle ended up, coming up on the beach. And you're not supposed to get inside that wall. You got to keep 25 feet away. So we walked by it first time when we went to go take some pictures someplace else there on the beach. And when we came back, Marcia said, well, I guess we're not going to see any. And I'm walking, she's walking a little ahead of me, and I'm walking, I'm looking, I'm thinking, well, there's one right there. So she came back and had her picture taken. This is a Hawaiian cardinal. And I thought it was, the only reason it's a cardinal is because the beak looks like a cardinal, but it looks like a red-headed woodpecker to me. But it's definitely a cardinal. And there's his mate. She's not nearly as pretty. We're there at this is the Honolulu Bake Shop, the most southern bakery in the United States. And that's where I saw those birds. That's where I got a good picture of them. We'd seen them other places, but while we were sitting outside eating, they came up and they wanted a picture taken only because they wanted food, which there's signs all over saying don't feed the birds. So I guess they didn't get the memo. Everywhere you go, you see lots of lava. This is dark because it's a more recent lava than other lavas. But it's everywhere, so I took pictures of it everywhere. These are geckos, just like the Geico gecko. It reminds you of it. But, and I forgot, I had another picture of one out in the wild that has blue eyes, but the feet were really blue too, really pretty. But they're all, and I noticed I was sitting in the rehab where Mom is right now, and I'm sitting there, and I caught myself looking up in the corners of the ceilings because the geckos are everywhere there. And I guess they eat bugs, but they do other things too. This is the reason we were there. We were there to watch Phil and Cindy's 2 dogs, and they were very good dogs. Didn't have to really do much, feed them and take them out a couple times a day to do their job and give them water. But they were one of the main reasons we were there. So I thought I need to get some pictures of them. We actually went to visit somebody with Phil and Cindy after the church service, and they had this dog that came outside and just made itself quite at home, but boy, did that dog stink. There's Phil and Cindy's dog watching over, waiting for us to come home. Yeah. Okay, this isn't a real good picture because I had to zoom out so far, but this is another one of the creatures there. This is a mongoose. And the dogs always knew when it was around. Okay, we went to the volcano pretty quickly after Phil and Cindy left, and it was just steaming at this time. Like I said, this was a week before it went off. But
wasn't it
I thoroughly loved it.
Down there at the observation point where we could smell the sulfur?
Now that's a cauldron. That's where big volcano has gone off on various occasions, and it's kind of filled back in, but it's still spewing there. Still smoke coming out of it. They say you can expect an event now just about once a week or thereabouts, and it pretty much was, it had gone off just before we got there. It went off while we were there once. It went off 2 days after we got home, and then this last one had a really nice one, and that was some of the pictures I had there at the beginning. If I'm going too slow, let me know, because we have a few. There's that word and then steam vents, because there are steam vents all around them. And I think here, you see the steam coming out of this now. This is on Crater Road. Something like that. Along there are different spots where this was an old crater where lava had come out like 200 years ago or so. And they've got them marked, they got names on, they got name for everything, but they've got names for them and then a date on when that lava flow went. And so this one's still steaming. This is on that way, it's one of the rims. This shows you how far down they were. That's my camera, how good I can zoom in. But they were a long way down there, and I wanted to walk on that, because that's in the middle of another one of those old craters, but we never got back to do that. like 3 ladies sitting on the ground, and they were chanting, and they were just having their worship of the volcano or whatever. So it's a big thing there. Okay, at the end of that road, of Crater Road, this is called Sea Arches, and you can see it there on the left. YouTube can't see this, but they're sea arch, and it's an arch that's been made when the lava came down. It cooled and left a spot in between and eroded a little bit, and it goes through there. There's, I think, 2 or 3 there. This stuff fascinates me, just to watch it and to see it and to think of God's creation and how he has allowed this, and just you can see how some around this, the one on the right especially, how it looks like there's another arch coming out there. So I went out to take some more pictures, and Marcia kept telling me, now, don't go too far. Well, this cliff dropped down about 40, 50 feet. But they had this real nice rock wall there. So I had my camera, and I was videoing it. Oh, I should have put that one on there. Anyway, I videoed it, and then I videoed down to see how far it was and went on. Well, she thought I was about to fall over. And I hung onto the wall, just leaned over so my hand was over, but I was perfectly safe. Don't listen to that lady in the back. So that's a little better picture of the wall.
Are those rocks cemented together, or are they just stacked?
I have no idea. I think they're just stacked. That wall was a foot thick. I mean, so it wasn't going anywhere. This one? Hazardous coastlines, frequent high winds, and I will say the wind was pretty strong, and steep cliffs, use caution, and I did. I used caution, which, bringing this to the sign, there are all kinds of signs over there we don't have over here. Now, they may have these, I think, in Montana or maybe Texas, but around here, I haven't seen any cattle. This is the state bird. That's the nini. They only go 25 miles an hour. Oh, I guess you're only supposed to go 25 miles an hour there. But they love their nini, so you are supposed to watch out for them. And I never did see a nini on the road. In fact, I only saw them around the beaches. Here's another thing we don't see here. At least we probably should with all the cracks that we have. But fault zone, so watch for cracks in the road. Lamburgers. We had a Lamburger while we were there. Oh, was it good. Oh, it was delicious. It was grilled on the grill. They grilled it right there while we waited. Oh, fabulous. Fabulous. No, I would if they had it around here. Okay, we call these what? Speed bumps. They call them a speed table or a speed hump. Now, I will say the speed humps are about 4 feet wide, so I can see why it's a little more than a hump, but than a bump. Yeah. Well, I don't think they wanted to spend that much to redo to their signs. You see a lot of these tsunami area warning signs when you're down closer to the coast. And I don't know which one this was, but they're prevalent there too. Well, that's more information than they really want to know. Now, what they're saying there is if you run that way, it's going to swallow you up. Okay, this is why I wore this shirt tonight. This is my extended family I didn't know I had. They were down at that Southern Bakery, and I saw this guy come out. I didn't even take this shirt over there. I saw this guy come out, and I thought, well, it looks like my shirt. And then pretty soon, his wife and 2 daughters come out, and they've got on dresses, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So I thought, well, but I didn't go up and say anything because I figured he would think I was crazy. Okay, can anybody tell what this is? That's Spam. I was in hog heaven right there. In fact, I sent a picture to my brother, and I'd also been talking about how the wild boars are all around. He said, "Oh, I know what they do with the wild boars now. They make the Spam." But I got the one with less sodium. It's only got like 500 milligrams for like 2 little slices as compared to the 900. So, but I was in Hawaii on vacation, and I told Marcia, I am eating it. So we had it a couple times. Okay, one of the first days that we were there, we went to this vanilla farm. This is how vanilla grows. I didn't know. These are vanilla plants, and they grow, and they've got them under tents because it's pretty intense heat there from the sun, and the water will filter through. But the sun is kind of hard on them. And he told us, that's Marcia trying to smell it, and I didn't smell anything when I tried it, but did you notice anything when you smelled it? Yeah. But this is what, okay, right up there at the top, you see that green about up above the red thing? That is a flowering, whatever they call them. And so there you can see it a little better on that one. Well, this guy who owns this place or runs it or whatever told us that they have to pollinate them by hand. Every one. He said that's why vanilla is so expensive. And he said if you get your vanilla from anywhere but basically from here, it's not really vanilla. It's got a little bit of vanilla and a lot of everything else. And so
unzip the bottom of the flower.
Right here. And he uses that.
Open this guy up.
Opens it up.
Lift this little flappy flap here, known as the rostellum. Tuck it up underneath the anther cap. Push the pollen sac in and squish. And let's hope I did it right.
I don't. They do it on their own or something. I don't know how it is. All I know is they've got to do that by hand every flower that they have. No, that's because that's how. But okay, the reason is because they used to be pollinated by these special bees or something, and when they came in and did something, it killed all those bees. And so now they have to do it by hand, and that's why they said vanilla is so expensive. So now you know. I thought this was a cool building as we were going back from the vanilla farm. This was a church on the way, a couple places. This was on the way down to Pololu Valley where we went to, and I saw it. It's an old church out in the middle of nowhere, basically. And I decided this is where I want to try to retire to. And so when we get down, I'm going to try to, down here, I'm going to try to locate them and see if maybe I could go and fix it up and then start a church there. These are a couple of the roads. One on the left is going down to well, you would continue to go down to the Beltline Road that goes all the way around it. Actually, that's leaving from the vanilla farm. The other one's actually, the one on the right's on the way up as we were going up to Pololu Valley, going through the mountains and the forests and everything. Here's some of the views. This was on the way up to the Pololu, and we got into a fog, and I tried to get a picture of a sign that said, expect fog, and didn't see it till it was too late. Yes, I was driving. And it was, we were up about, I think, 3,500, 4,500 feet here on our way up. You can see we're actually looking down, and it's a long way to the ocean there. They have these chickens everywhere that are loose, but we like this one because he kind of had a little crown on his head. But they're just wild chickens. Yeah, definitely. This was the view from Ian's garage. He lives right next door to Phil and Cindy. Ian's their oldest son. He's got a house right next to it. That's where we had our services at, in his garage, and that's probably looking out on from the concrete pad right in front of their garage. It's when he retires, that's where he's going back to. These are just some of the views from Phil and Cindy's place. Okay, I took this one because you see the clouds there right in between the trees, the bright. That was the sun shining off of a rainstorm, and it was almost to a rainbow pitch, but it was real bright, and I thought that was kind of cool. It was the only time I saw it there like that. This is down Ian's driveway. Some of the pretty. Now this is Pololu. No, this is YPO Valley. This is way up there where I'm at, and now you can see how big it is and how high up we are from there. This is a beach down there, and when we went the first time with Phil and Cindy, he actually took us down there with his four-wheel drive. The only way you can get down there is four-wheel drive. And he's got a truck that's four-wheel drive, but I've never driven it in four-wheel drive. And I remember when we went the first time, he got in two great big mud pits because it was the only way you could get there is to go through these. And he got stuck once. And I'm sitting in the front seat, mud's kicking up everywhere, and he kept working and he got it out. And I figured it probably would have been better this time. It wouldn't have been as much mud because they've been really dry. And this is really the dry season. But I didn't want to take that chance with his vehicle, and so we just looked at it from the top. And that's us. We were actually there. Not Photoshop, nope. In fact, and I couldn't find it, but we've got a couple pictures that we had somebody else take for us while we were there. They took our picture in the background, and it looks like it's Photoshopped, but it was really not. This is looking down to the valley from up at the top, and there is a black sand beach down there, and that's one that Phil and Cindy took us to. But like I said, we didn't go. So from there, we went up the mountain to Pololu Valley Lookout, which overlooks another place like that. Where I parked, there was this little fruit stand, and it had star fruit, 5 for $1. And Marcia said, "You can't get one for $1 here." And so she got 5, and they weren't anything like the ones we get for $1 here. They were delicious. We ate them pretty much through the rest of the time there. And that was the little container there. Love one another. So we loved our fruit. There we are with the Pololu overlook, and that's what it looks like without us in the middle. So we decided we were. In fact, I went to get the truck. I had to turn around because the only way you can get away from there is you got to turn around and go back the way you just came from. And so we were going to go. Well, they had 2 helpers there that I think they worked for the state or something, and they got to talking to us, and we had seen there was a way to get down to the beach. And he said, "Oh, yeah, it's not too bad a walk." And so we thought, all right, let's try it. I waited for Marcia. She's the one who said, "Yeah, why don't we try it?" So we headed down there. It was over 2,000 feet down, and the first 300 feet or so were almost straight down. And then you start walking on the rocks and meandering back and forth for another 2,000, 1,500 feet. So we got down to just past 500 feet left, and Marcia said, I can't go any farther. So she sat down, and she rested, and that was going down. And so she sat down and rested, and I said, well, you think if you rest? No. She said, why don't you go ahead and go on down? I said, well, I'll just go down a little bit ways and see how far it is. Well, she said, no, I'm not going to go. It's a good thing. It was another 500 feet of what we'd just been doing. But I got down there, and it was fantastic. I saw this in the rock. There's a lot of rocks like that around it, so it's not really. There was a little pond back to the back a little bit, the green pond, and when they told us about it, they said there was a black sand beach down there, and I thought they said a green sand beach just past this little pond, and I found the pond, and it was green. I thought, that makes sense, but I never did find the green sand beach. Unless it's high tide comes in. This is the valley that goes back. I don't know. I guess they climb. There must be another way. All of this land back in here, I believe, is private owned. So they've got a way of getting to them, or they wouldn't do it. I know that. That's the look of it. So you got it on the left there, and then this is there is, and it's a green and black sand beach. You can tell the difference. Like we have some sand up here. They didn't have any signs that you weren't supposed to take sand here. So funny thing, I had to go back to the truck to get it because we were going to leave, and then we decided we were going to go. Well, so I went and I had to park the truck again in a different place, and so Marcia's going down there. Well, I looked in. We had brought a little sandwich baggie with grapes in it, and we had like 4 or 5 left. So I ate 4 or 5 of them and had a couple more. So I just kind of dumped them, and I took this baggie, thinking, well, if I get down there, maybe. So I get down there and I whip it out and I scoop sand in. Oh, that sand is so soft. It's like that kinetic sand. It's wonderful. So I fill that little baggie, and I come back up, and what does Marcia say? Because I had it in my pocket. Well, I wish you'd have gotten sand. I said, well, you didn't tell me anything about that. Well, you could have put it in your pocket. I said, you mean like this? Oh, that's even better. So I'm down there enjoying taking pictures and videos, and I'm looking for her up there. I couldn't see her. Now, I don't know could you see me down on the beach? You could see me down on the beach? Yeah. So I couldn't see her because there's a lot of trees. So I'm videoing, and all of a sudden, somebody comes walking by me. He's about 10, 15 feet away. He goes, are you Marcia's husband? I said, yeah. She's ready to go. I said, okay, thanks. So I get back up there, and and so it was a struggle for her to get up there. It was a struggle. So about every 50 feet or so up, it seemed like, we had to stop and wait, and that was good. Well, I don't know, about 30 minutes later, this guy comes walking by, and he goes on up, and then we get up a little bit farther, and so some other couples go by, and Marcia said, tell them up there that I need help. And so they came down, and they were a big help, so we appreciated that. So their king was supposedly born. This is Marcia's happy place there. This is Lapahoihoi. And she is taking it in. It's got this old harbor there that tsunami came in over 150 years ago, so I think, and it pretty much destroyed everything and killed a lot of people, and they just left it. It's not really a beach you can you can swim at, but there it is, just so beautiful. Or turquoise or clear. Some sunsets there. I took this picture because then I took this next one. See that tree up there in the top left there? I don't know where that is, but it's one solitary tree up there that is just showing its head off real good. There she is looking out at the other side. And campers come in there and camp. They have to get permits, but they can camp anywhere on there. And we noticed, we went there one weekend, and before we'd gone there during the week. Wasn't a lot of people around, but when we went that weekend, I mean, there were people everywhere. And they come there and they just camp out overnight. There was, right down here at the left, bottom left there, you can see that little red glow or orange glow there. That's a couple hammocks that are set up there that they were going to, and I mean, they're right there by the water. They're probably about 30 feet away there and up a good 7 or 8 feet. So they're safe, but Marcia, what do you call these? Hula dancers, yeah. And that's there at Lapahoihoi. I would take a picture or two once in a while, too. I love the palm trees. What? I didn't normally take pictures of porta potties, but no, there's really not. There are stores and stuff around in different places. Yeah, they are. Some of the stores had porta potties back behind them. Well, there was more than you would think. This was one of our favorite places. We'd gone there before and really liked this. Was Sanctuary City, or Refuge City. City of Refuge. And so she wanted me to look like the stupid, whatever that thing is. So yeah, I know. Which one's scarier, right? But, okay, it's this sanctuary place. And what it is, years and years ago when they were really fighting, they were killing each other off. And they created this sanctuary area. I mean, it's almost like it's taken right out of the Old Testament. Sanctuary cities in the Old Testament. If they got there, they were safe, even as warriors. And so we watched one of their videos that talked about it, and it had a little play going along, and it was a warrior that had been in a fight, and he was losing, and so he took off. He had to swim miles through water and everything, shark infested and everything, but he got there, and he was safe there, and then the spirit of peace and love was overwhelming, and he was this and that. They get right to the point where, yes, Jesus is that answer, and they go a different way. But it's a perfect example of what the Old Testament talked about. Christ is our refuge. And so it is kind of an interesting way that they have done it. Satan has always taken things of Christ, things of the Lord, and using them to his advantage or twisting them. I love the trees there. This is one of them. I've got tons of pictures of trees. I didn't get them all for you. But I like this orange one because it's so bright and orange. And this really wasn't time when the orange trees are really that prominent. Because the other times when we were there in December, all those valleys that I showed you, they were just covered with orange or bright yellow or red. I took some post office pictures because my mother was a postmaster. This is one of them. This is actually Phil and Cindy's post office. Their box is right there, outside. In fact, most of the post offices in that, unless it's really the big city, your boxes are outside. From what we saw, there's the other side of the building. There were a lot of rainbows. We didn't see a lot this time, but this one was pretty good. You can even see purple in that, and there was one rainbow we saw, and I couldn't get my camera up fast enough to see it or to get a picture of it, that you could actually delineate spaces in between each color. Never seen that before, but by the time I got my camera up, it had dissipated, which takes us to Rainbow Falls. This is Rainbow Falls Lookout. We love the waterfalls there. That's Marcia taking a picture of me taking a picture of Marcia. And so I decided to wave at her. Yeah. So later that week, we went to this is the garden, the park area, where it was called Uma. It's also called Three-Tier Waterfalls. And so we decided to go there that afternoon. And these flowers were right there. They were so unique. This is the waterfalls. There's 3 levels there you can see, and then it's got the river down below it. And this is where I've gotten brochure for zip lining. And I asked one of the ladies at church about it, if it was worth it, and she said her and her sister had gone a couple times. They loved it. It was worth it. So we went. I went. But this is the 3 falls there. So it was the afternoon. We went up and saw it, and then we walked back down, and we got pineapple whip ice cream. Delicious. So we were in their little building, and I was talking to the lady there that was working there, and I said, I was looking online about going zip lining here, but it looks like I can only go Saturday. Oh no, she said, that's what the online things do it all the time. She said, you can go anytime. You want to go this afternoon? I said, well, no, how much is it? Because I knew what it said online. And she said, oh, well, we have 9 platforms, but we only have 8 working. One's being revamped. So she said, we take some money off of that. And I said, okay, well. So she told me, and I said, I'm going to go. So she said, well, you want to go this afternoon? I said, no. Can I go through the week? She said, yeah, you can go tomorrow. So I signed up for 10 o'clock the next day. So this is where I went while Marcia stayed back and did her knitting or cross-stitching or whatever. She was taking care of the dogs, right. I mean, it's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it. So this is the zip lining. On any of the platforms, you can see the ocean. And you can also see the river there on that one on the right. I'm not sure what that noise was. That was probably my heart. Yeah. So, okay.
Right, but have you tried it? I'm like, I can't do it. I figured.
Walk just to take off. So this is some of the things that I saw while I was ziplining. Thought the little kayaks were kind of cool there. Hang on. Okay, this, yeah. You can't even see the end of it. That's because this is the long one that goes over the river, and it actually ends up, there's a little bitty house you can see. That's where it ends up. Okay, this is like almost an 1,800 foot line, and there was like 15 of us in the group, and everything from, I think there were probably 12, 13-year-old girls up to me, old and not a girl, and so that these girls were light, and so whenever we would go on them, there was always a worker that went on it first. They were always checking it out, because then they had to be at the other end of the line, and they would slow you down when you're coming in. Well, so they would always go, and they would report back to the guy that's standing there with you and tell him anything that they needed to know about it. Well, they got on this, and they said, tell him to do cannonballs. In other words, pull up your knees so that you're a little bit heavier and going faster, because they said it's running pretty slow today. So they said, especially you light girls, definitely, well, one of the girls went on this one on the right, and she got about, it looked like from where we were standing, she must have been 50 or 60 feet from the end, and she stopped. And I thought, what do they do? Well, the worker, then he hooked up, and he went back on there, and I think probably his weight on it then dropped it down enough to where then she came back, and then he went back, and she was done. But I thought that was an interesting little tidbit that I didn't know. So we went.
How you doing?
We're good. Yep.
So I'm going to hand this to you. I'm going to go around that pole up and onto the box, okay?
Okay.
Right up.
All right. So you just step off into space. I mean, you're hooked up. How long is this one?
Last guess is, the length, I don't know.
Okay.
But it's similar to,
The first one or the second or that?
it's closest to the third, but it's a bit longer than that.
Okay.
So you get to go whenever you're ready.
Thank you.
think I've only come into one of these.
Yeah.
Forward.
Hey. You're good on that one?
Yep. How many more do we have left after this one?
What?
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yep, good to go. All right, man, we're on this lower step.
It was. Okay, so
Did you go there anyway? Like on the little truck?
that guy, come on.
Did you go there anyway? Like on the little truck?
Two lines going at the same time. So they wanted us to kind of go in pairs. Well, I was by myself, and he was actually with somebody, but he and I went together, and we were the last ones. Well, it's not really that good a picture, but he reminded me so much of Jeff Bebar. Yeah, and even the way he talked, it was just amazing. So this is some more of the things. This is some of the places where we went over. You can see, okay, over on the left, that's him. When he got ahead of me, but I beat him.
Hey, brother. Yeah, put your feet on the stairs, man.
I'm trying. There.
This is it was the only zip line on the island where you could go upside down. And I told him, I'm not going upside down. And then I saw these young girls going upside down. And that was actually the first one. And so we're the last ones to go. And I thought, well, maybe I could try it. Because he hooked up on just a fake line to show us how they were going to hook us up, what we need to do, what we shouldn't touch, what we could touch. And then he said, and then if you want to go upside down, you're sitting there, he said, you just lift your feet a little and you'll go upside down. I thought, well, that's cool, but my big fear is not getting back down, especially when I come into that landing stage. And he said, and then when you want to go upright, you just put your feet down. And he just plopped right down. And he did it so easy. I thought, well, maybe I did it. Well, I did it one more time because there was one more shorter one that those girls are going, and they've got their arms up in the air, only it's down, hanging straight down. And I mean, they're just having a good time. And I thought, well, maybe I can go a little longer this time. So I actually did, but I couldn't find that video. I don't know if it didn't do or what. But so then one of the days we were driving, and Marcia wanted to get this Kau coffee because they say now that's better than the Kona coffee. And so we saw this mill. We said, well, let's go check it out. So we went to check it out. It was fascinating. We got there just the right time. She's showing us the coffee beans that they do there. And, of course, every place you go, theirs is the best. But she had me convinced, and I don't even like coffee. This is where they lay them out to dry out. And you can tell the difference on how far they're dried out by the color. Some of them there are darker, some of them are lighter. The lighter ones, I think, are the ones that have been laid out longest and are about ready. And this is how they lay them out, and they'll go in and they'll turn them over or they'll redo them just so they dry out evenly all the way through it. This is a coffee plant. I don't know, coffee bean plant or whatever. And you can see this one's not ready, but it's got a few beans there that are ready, and they do those all by hand there at their place. They were saying that some of the others, they've got machines, but they do them all by hand so they don't get as bruised and this and that. I mean, coffee's terrible anyway to me, so I don't know how you could hurt it anymore. But okay, the reason we were there was to go and visit with our missionaries, but also to help them out. And this is one of the first days. You can see this is in between Phil and Cindy's house and Ian's house. They've got a little courtyard in between the two buildings, and it's also kind of a nice little place for their church and stuff at times. They, from their lanai or their place, we were always seeing tugboats going by or cruise liners. I've got a lot of pictures of them too, but I didn't think you guys probably want to see them. But we were there, and then I was thrilled I got to preach for him a couple times. These are some of the ladies that were there. Sweet family there with her two kids. Her son reminds us so much of our nephew. And notice the background. That's what they look at from their church. As they're in church, that's what the right wall is. This guy, he's the one that took us up to the top of the mountain, Mount Mauna Kea, 10,000 feet above sea level, where he and I went all the way to the top and watched the sunset over that. I don't think I put any pictures of that. I ran out of time, and it's a good thing, it looks like, because it's been a while now. But he was a great help to Phil. He helped him put in some windows in his office area. He helped him put in some doors, and he's been a real asset to the church. This is a family who's just started doing the praise and worship. The day we got there, the couple that used to play, I think she was the piano player and he was the worship leader, and then they had a couple kids. They were on their way to the States because they were moving back to the States. She had taken another job or something, and so they were on their way. So Phil and I actually went to the airport and saw them off. So this couple stepped up and said that they would fill that gap, and then their daughter does the videos in the back, the laptop and the this day, and their son plays the guitar and the ukulele, and so that was kind of cool. And so his wife there on your left, she started playing the keyboard for him, and it was the first Sunday that she had done it, and she did a very good job. So that was kind of cool. There we go. This is them actually. They're practicing before church. Their worship team's practicing. And so during church, when Phil was gone, then he stepped up and kind of did the worship leader thing, and so all I had to do was just go up and preach, which was real nice. Oh, there you can see on the purple thing there, just to the right of the stand, that's my tea. Oh, I don't know where that came from. So during the church service, the last time I said, okay, I want to get a picture of everybody. I said, has Phil ever done this? And they said, no. I said, let him know. I took a picture of you all. So, and they were all smiling. I told him, look, they're all happy. And then this is the reason we went. Phil and Cindy asked us to come over and watch their dogs and to watch over their place while they came to the States and visited with family. In fact, Larry and Sylvia, I think you guys were there as well. Their son married Phil and Cindy's daughter. So they're in-laws or outlaws or whatever they are. Larry and Sylvia are great people. And it's nice to have Nancy and Dick here. And Larry and Kathy, what a blessing. And then, of course, our family, church family. But this is why we went. We went to go and serve, suffer for Jesus, and see the big island of Hawaii. So thank you all for allowing us to go. Now, I mean, if you want to see more pictures, this is only probably a tenth of what I have or less. Just let me know. I'll be glad to show you more. I didn't show you Akaka Falls, which is one we really love. That's the one that drops about 500 feet. Didn't show you any pictures from the top of the mountain. Got tons. I probably should have shown you. I took this great picture of the Big Dipper. And I've got about 3 pictures of the Big Dipper. One from their driveway, but the others are up at the top of the mountain. And she did, yeah. Well, I did one morning. Now, I will say, I was planning to go. She wanted to go to sunrise at Lapahoehoe, and I said, let's go. And she said, no, I don't feel like going. So I was going to.
That would be something fun to have, like when it's cold outside. You know, we're looking at all this pretty stuff about trees are there.
Yeah. I can show. You know, I can do this probably 10 more times and not show one picture over. And it'll be a completely different view. Okay, now, I will say this picture, we were at that one lady that I showed you from the church who's got the long white hair. This was her place, or is her place. And we're at, like, their courtyard in the back. It's all concrete. This place used to be I think it was a sugar mill, on a sugar mill, and her house is actually one of the buildings or something there, and then they built some other things there. And so the concrete, actually, part of it used to have steps that went down. I wouldn't have wanted to gone on them. There was not any rails, handrails or anything, and by then, you know, a lot of the steps are broken or gone, but there's no railing or anything, and so if you come running down there too fast sometime, it's curtains for you, but it's a beautiful view. And she was gracious to let us sit there and visit with her a while, and took our pictures. And so we had a great time. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and we told them put us on their list for next time. So, yes.
When you first got started and you were on there, I don't know if it's better, you could see the, you were looking out the
Uh-huh.
ocean. Anyhow, there were owls.
Oh, yeah.
There was more than that.
Well, it's just one owl, just several pictures. They have that because the birds would come in to their lanai. And they said once they put that up there, it stopped the birds coming in and roosting or swooping over them or whatever. Well, yeah, there are some owls. We never saw any, but yeah, they do have some over there. And I guess the birds aren't smart enough to figure out that it's plastic. But yeah, that's their, and I guess it works very well. We did not make it to a luau. That, I don't even know. I'm sure they probably have some somewhere there on the Big Island. But we went to that on Oahu the first time that we ever went over. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, what I really wanted to, speaking of the price, what I really wanted to do was take a helicopter ride all the way around. But it was the same price as what it took me to get over there. And I just couldn't quite justify that. I mean, the zip line was expensive enough, but I really wanted to do that, especially going over the volcano and around, just to see everything from a completely different view. But we enjoyed it. We got to see, we got to do just about everything that we wanted to. The only thing we didn't get to go see was the green sand beach. from what we understand, it's all the way down at the south, and then you have to take a trek. You either walk, I think they said it's like a mile or more, or you can get some people that'll take you, but by the time we got down there that one time, it was getting late. We were tired, and it was time to get back, and so we just never got back to it. And then I really wanted to see the lava fountaining, but Lord had a different plan. No.
It's in between volcano and Cone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
Not like the vanilla.
Oh, okay.
You go in this great big building, they got all these.
All those orchids, yeah. Yeah, we didn't make it. I didn't know anything about that one. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we enjoyed it because the vacation was stretched out so much more than what we've always done it. We were able to take our time and just enjoy it. And we went back to see 2 or 3, like Waipio Valley. We actually went back there twice and saw it, took a couple pictures each time. And we went up to the mountain a couple times, Pololu Valley and this and that. So we got to do several things, and we went to the beaches 4 times, I think, found one that Marcia really liked, and so we just took our time and enjoyed it, and it was great. Have what? Shells? There weren't a lot of shells that you saw, but they do have them, yeah. And actually, I've got a couple. Well, I've got a bag of little ones up here that was somebody had one of the nights that Phil and Cindy were still there before they left. We went down to Lapahoihoi and had a cookout there, and they've got these little open buildings that have a grill in it, and you can do it there. Well, somebody had left, I think it's 5 of these shells there on the ledge, and I thought they were kind of cool looking, so I just scarfed them up, and so we got them here. We like I said, I got sand at Pololu, and then we went to one that you're not supposed to get sand, black sand, and so we did not take it home, or we did not grab any up in a bucket or anything. But what we did find was there was a lot that was on our feet as we were walking on the sand beach. And so we made sure that we got our feet real good and wet. And we walked back, and I had cleaned out he had rubber mats on the floorboards, and I cleaned them all off so there was nothing on there. And so we walked back to the truck, and we stomped our feet on it, and you'll see how much we got. So, but shh, that's a secret too. Yeah, it's kind of funny because Marcia was just scared to death they were going to throw us in the pokey or ban us from ever coming back because I wanted to take it home. And so we got the 3 bags and our shells. And so she was saying, let's ship it. Let's do this. I said, let me talk to Cindy. Cindy was in the post office. And she said, just put it in your bag, your check-in bag. But she said, when she worked at the post office, she can't tell you how many of those. like I said, that couple left that day that we got there. I guess there was another couple who had left 2 or 3 weeks before that, coming back to the States, and they say that happens a lot. But they said what they have noticed and people have observed in their churches, it's like a training church. They train Christians to go out and be the salt and light of the world and to take their faith. And so now they looked at this couple that was leaving as they were almost extensions of their church now, missionaries, if you would, from their church to, they're going all the way to the east coast of the States. And so they're training their people in the gospel, in the foundations, making sure that they are ready to be what they're supposed to be as far as witnesses and sharing the gospel. And the Lord brings somebody else in that needs to be discipled and nurtured and watch them grow in the faith. And I thought that was a cool testimony for a church. Phil said, we're never going to grow probably any more than where we're at, 20 or 30 at the most, because there's such a big turnover that way. But he said, this is our ministry and this is what we're doing. And I thought that's cool to know what your ministry is and to be satisfied in it. And hopefully that's also something we can say about our own church. Yeah. Yeah, there. Yes, it's in fact that one couple that I showed you that had the 2 kids and they're the worship leaders. They drive an hour each way every Sunday, and a lot of times I think they come on Wednesdays too, because they know that that's a church where they're going to get fed with the Word, and it's not going to be watered down. They're going to Phil shoots straight with them. He's a biblical counselor also, and he is into that, and he's training people to do that. So it's just been a real blessing. He preaches usually 50 minutes or more. Okay, here's what I did the first Sunday. I do Wednesday night lessons here online. They usually go about 20 minutes or so. And so I did 2 of them back to back that first Sunday, just so the people wouldn't want me over Phil, and yeah, just thinking of Phil, any way I could. But their time frame is kind of like our Sunday school class. It starts at 9:30 and we get going about 9:40 or whatever, because people are visiting and all. They get there 9 to 9:30 is supposed to be their fellowship time beforehand, and somebody always has a little breakfast, whatever, and then eventually they'll get around to starting the service, and they start the service by they ring a bell outside, and that guy that I showed you that took us up to the mountaintop, he'll blow into I think it's a seashell, a big seashell. And they ring the bell, and I asked him, well, why do you do that? Just something we always did. So, tradition. But then they'll go into their worship service of, they'll sing some songs. I think they sing 3 or 4 songs at the beginning. They'll have their praise and worship, or praise and then prayer requests. They'll sing a couple more songs, and then Phil will preach. And I think it ended up being hour and a half. Pretty much like ours, I think. Well, yeah. Yeah, they don't have Sunday school. But back when they had these other families that left had kids too. So they had, I guess, several kids. And so during the church service, then the kids would go into Phil and Cindy's garage and they had some kind of little church service for them there. Sunday school, yeah, basically a Sunday school for them. But since more than half of the kids had gone, and there was only the 2 younger ones, and then those 2 older ones, they stayed in the service all 3 weeks we were there. I talked to Phil about that church in Maui, and they have been and I wanted to call him while I was there, and I forgot. Phil said that they are still dealing with all the red tape and regulations and stuff, but he said their church is going good. They're still meeting, I think, in that coffee shop. I'm not sure. But the church is still doing good. It's just hardly anybody's had an opportunity to start building yet, I think. There's only maybe a dozen or so houses that have actually been built.
Yeah, you can go on YouTube, do flyover, Leone, and
Yeah.
it's very little business.
Well, and a lot of it is because of all this red tape. There are a lot of big corporations trying to come in and buy out the land, and they want to give these people nothing for the land when their whole livelihood and everything was tied up in that. And so it's like nobody wants to sell because it's not going to make them any money, but yet the government won't allow them to build again, and there's still they've got to get all the resources there too. Yeah, yeah. Right. So it's still up in the air, but I do need to try to get a hold of him and find out how things are going. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're still at the coffee shop, but it sounds like it's still going as good as it was at the coffee shop. I can't remember if Phil said that they had changed to a different venue. Do you know anything about that, Larry? Okay. Any other questions? I told Phil I was doing this, and I said, do you have anything that you want me to share? Well, I can't think of anything. What I should have done was I should have called him on my phone right now, because it's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon there, and but I won't do that to him. Yes, yeah. Yeah, with that snorkel. Oh, hey, I was just surprised anybody wanted to see him. Thrilled. I love showing my pictures, and like I said, I got a ton more that I didn't show that I was planning on it, but I just ran out of time. What's that? Oh, I have them. In fact, they're on that little flash drive right back there. What's that? Oh. Oh, cool. Well, okay. All of the pictures today were pictures from Hawaii. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, all of the pictures today actually were my pictures from Hawaii. And I thought it was kind of cool, that video we did started off with pictures that looked like it, but that wasn't my pictures. Yeah. Yes. And what they told us was Ian's is even steeper. And we thought, no, it can't be, but it definitely is. Right, they definitely don't have ice. Hardly have rain anymore, it sounds like. But yeah, even that one looks like it's just right there, but it's down about 50 to 100 feet, I'm guessing. And with Phil and Cindy's, it's actually, you think it's a quarter mile or so away? It's a ways. In fact, they've got horses there now, in between them and the ocean. Somebody's put horses in there. They said it's actually government land, but somebody's got their horses there. Had them there for several years, I guess. And I had some pictures of them too, but I didn't think you cared to see horses. Well, I'd be glad to do this again.
No, I don't mean that.
Oh, you mean show the pictures or go over?
I mean, some other.
Oh, okay. Because I'd be glad to go over and get some more pictures. I am a real photographer.
I think we should do this again in January.
I can do that. I can do that, and that'll give me time to pull some other ones together.
If you set it up where, rotating, set up for when we're having dinner,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Sunday, come up
yeah,
and watch it.
yeah. We'll look into that. Well, thank you all for coming. Just wonderful. Let's have a word of prayer, and then I'll sign off. Well, goodbye to you on Facebook or on YouTube.